Arrested for arson and the neighbors who lost nearly everything in a wildfire that has burned more than 6 square miles.
Going into it, I was kind of nervous. I had no idea what to expect. I just heard bad things about it. Like, it was the slums, kind of like you'll get robbed. There's gangsters all over. There's a lot of gun shootings.
The other side of the glitz and glamour of the Rio Olympics. The reason why tourists and academics from San Diego want to see the seedier side. A World War II hero honored at Camp Pendleton. The Marines' unique accomplishments during the fighting. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. San Diego County District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis is in the center of an alleged fundraising scheme. A Mexican business mogul is accused of conspiring to illegally pump nearly $600,000 into San Diego campaigns. KPBS investigative reporter Amita Sharma has analyzed documents and this is what she found out. Amita, please set the stage for us. What is this federal campaign finance trial all about?
Well, the law says that only American citizens or legal residents can give to U.S. candidates, can give to U.S. campaigns. Federal prosecutors say that Mexican tycoon Jose Susimo Lozano Matsura tried to skirt this law by funneling money through people and a company to help get District Attorney Bonnie Dumanis elected as mayor in 2012. In fact, the government says that 25% of the money that Dumanis received in her unsuccessful attempt to be San Diego's mayor was actually from Lozano.
Okay, Amita, you've been following this case very closely, even combing through all of the court documents and other documents, including Dumanis's campaign disclosures. What have you found?
That on a single day, December 29th, 2011, a full 26 of the 61 campaign donations that Dumanis received were allegedly from straw donors funded by Lozano. That's about 43%. We also found that 14 additional donations came from tow truck companies that had previously been investigated by the San Diego Ethics Commission for straw giving. Now, I asked the Ethics Commission if the tow truck companies had been investigated for straw giving on this specific day. They would not answer, but the timing of the donations is curious.
So how much money exactly are we talking about? How much is Lozano accused of funneling to Dumanis's campaign?
Well, aside from the straw donations directly to Dumanis's campaign, allegedly funded by Lozano, he is also accused of illegally creating an independent expenditure committee, also known as a PAC, to help get Dumanis elected as mayor in 2012 and contributing $100,000 to that IEC. And he's accused of bankrolling another $100,000 in social media services for Dumanis's campaign back in 2012. It should be said that Dumanis is known to have met Lozano at least twice. She also was on a conference call with him to discuss campaign social media services rather, and she wrote a college letter of recommendation for Lozano's son. It should be noted that just as it is illegal for a foreign national without a green card to contribute to a U.S. candidate, it's equally illegal for a U.S. candidate to knowingly accept money from a foreign national. Now, I asked former federal prosecutor Rob Marasco whether Dumanis should have known that Lozano was a foreign national without a green card, or at least should have checked. Here's what he said.
Yes. I mean, just by reputation alone, right? This individual is known as a successful businessman in Mexico. I think the first thing she has to ask herself, okay, can he contribute to elections here in the United States?
So Dumanis has been subpoenaed to testify. When might this happen?
Well, it could happen as early as this week. The prosecution is expected to wrap up its case this week, and then the defense will start. Whether that happens at the end of this week or early next week is not known yet.
Thank you so much. Great work. We will be following.
Thank you, Ebony.
And we'll continue to follow this story throughout the trial. You can find more information on our website, kpbs.org. There are currently 12 San Diego school board seats up for grabs in the November election and not enough candidates to fill them. KPBS education reporter Megan Burke says San Diego Republicans Party is urging members to step up and try to win the seats by default.
There are more open seats than candidates running on several school boards from Coronado to Julian. The local Republican Party sent an email to supporters this week urging them to clinch the seats for conservatives. Party chairman Tony Kravarik says the last-minute recruitment is about more than stacking the deck.
America is built on everybody having a fair shot out of the chute, and then people determine their future from there. But that starts with every child having an opportunity for a good education, and that's where we're coming from.
But they may still face a challenge. San Diego County Democratic Party Chairwoman Francine Busby says she plans to put forward candidates for many of the open seats. The deadline to file for the November ballot is Wednesday. Megan Burks, KPBS News.
A wildfire in San Bernardino has forced the mandatory evacuations of thousands of people. The 8-square-mile fire is raging through drought-parched canyons near Cajon Pass and has shut down a section of Interstate 15. The San Bernardino County Fire Department says the so-called Blue Cut fire was first reported late this morning and has jumped to nearly 1,500 acres within 2 hours. A California man has been arrested on arson charges for allegedly sparking a wildfire that exploded over the weekend, destroying more than 175 homes, businesses, and other structures in Northern California. Associated Press reporter Matt Friedman has more.
On 17 counts of arson.
Residents of Lower Lake, California cheered as officials unveiled the mugshot of the man charged with sparking a wildfire that devastated their town.
It's hard to look at that man and know that he's the one that caused all of this. Especially, I have very dear friends who have helped me a lot, and they've lost everything.
40-year-old Damon Pashuk faces 17 counts of arson. At least 175 structures burned in this town about 90 miles north of San Francisco.
A lot of anger and a lot of relief.
The wildfire exploded over the weekend, spreading out over 6 square miles and causing an estimated $10 million in damages.
It's devastating, very devastating.
Bernie Lacey learned during a community meeting that her house survived.
I feel grateful, very, very grateful.
While others waited for word.
Still the not knowing, just not knowing.
Dozens of families are homeless.
I sat in Lower Lake and watched it all burn while I was waiting.
Waiting in a region already vulnerable following a 5-year drought.
This is home. This is home, and we have a great community. Everybody steps up really good, and helps us out, and that's awesome.
Pashuk is also suspected in other fires over the past year that claimed 1,400 homes. Matt Friedman, Associated Press.
And California firefighters are taking on another battle, one for better pay. Cal Fire workers are calling on lawmakers to renegotiate their wages. Firefighters say the state agency is losing their fighters to smaller local stations that can pay up to 90% more. They claim the state is wasting hundreds of thousands of dollars to train firefighters that end up leaving.
I think a lot of firefighters also choose that, why would I want to get paid less when I could go to a city department and have some days off to enjoy life and not work all summer long.
State firefighters plan to rally at the Capitol next week. In the wake of recent shootings of unarmed black men and amid the growing concerns over police tactics, an LA school teacher decided to make a career switch. Associated Press reporter Christine Amario tells us why Ranta Phillip wants to wear the badge.
A daughter of Caribbean immigrants, an English teacher, and now
Driver, throw your keys out of the vehicle.
A sheriff's deputy recruit. Renata Phillip plans to join law enforcement as tensions over race and policing reach a critical juncture in the country.
I hope to get up and perform my duties each day, and through my interactions with people, open their minds to things that maybe they weren't open to before.
The former high school teacher decided to make a career switch after realizing she could better help struggling teens outside of the classroom. Her family wasn't so sure.
They have what's on social media, they have what's on the morning news, evening news. So that is what they're thinking, that I'm going to be out somewhere and, you'll get hurt.
But in the end, they decided to support her.
All of them said to me, well, I know this has been something you wanted to do. I know this is something you wanted to do.
Since May, she's been studying and practicing drills. 16 weeks defined by hard work. And an uproar nationwide over the fatal police shootings of 2 black men, the deaths of 8 officers in Dallas and Baton Rouge, and now violent unrest in Milwaukee following the death of a black man shot by police.
That part, does hit me on an emotional level, that once I put on that uniform, there's a very real possibility, that people will target me.
The percentage of minority officers has increased over the last 2 decades, though their numbers remain low. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, 12% of local police officers were black in 2013. Numbers many departments are trying to increase, including the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
It's important for us to be able to understand and relate to the people that we're policing, and that's diversity is one of the ways we can do that.
Any other passengers, step out of the vehicle.
I feel a responsibility as a woman, as a black woman, as a daughter.
Trying to become a bridge between 2 communities, one drill at a time. Christine Armario, The Associated Press, Los Angeles.
Navy Secretary Ray Mabus was at Camp Pendleton today to announce a new ship will be named to honor World War II hero John Basilone. The Marine from Buffalo earned the Medal of Valor during the fight on Guadalcanal, and after his death, the Navy Cross. He was the only enlisted Marine to win 2 medals in World War II. Basilone already has a road named after him on Camp Pendleton. The Navy also made it official today, naming a ship in honor of the late gay rights leader, Harvey Milk. Before his career in San Francisco politics, Milk was stationed in San Diego until 1955. The new ship is part of a new fleet of oilers that will be built in San Diego. Officials in Louisiana say 2 more people have been found dead. That brings the death toll from the flooding there to 10. The floods began during torrential rains on Friday. The governor says about 40,000 homes have been damaged. Some areas are in recovery mode, but the governor warns new places downstream could continue to see flooding. Search and rescue efforts are ongoing. Say goodbye to the heat. A cooling trend is expected to lower temperatures throughout San Diego. Heather Waldman has that in tonight's KPBS weather report.
Well, southwestern states have been a little bit steamy over the last couple of days. The good news for Southern California is that the second half of this week is going to be a little bit cooler. Temperatures will be closer to average. That goes for the desert areas as well. It's the Northwest that's going to be dealing with all of the heat. Temperatures in Seattle could even get into the 90s by Friday. Showers and storms are going to stay well off to the east once again. That's where all the monsoonal moisture is. We could get our usual marine layer to start to drift into coastal areas, and parts of the metro area could have some reduced visibility as well. Temperatures will be in the upper 60s for tonight in downtown San Diego. The rest of San Diego County a little bit milder than average still. Will fall just below 60 at Mount Laguna, 64 degrees in Alpine, 58 for tonight in Oceanside, generally 60s once you get closer to the southern coast. As we go through the day on Wednesday, again, those spotty afternoon thunderstorms expected to continue for the Four Corners. Could even be a pop-up storm into parts of the Sierra, but the rest of Southern California is going to stay nice and dry. Coastal areas a little bit cooler, but you go 10, 15 miles inland, and that's where the real heat is going to be. Later on this week, again, the heat That's going to get trapped in the northwestern states, and as moisture starts to return to the southwest, it's going to help to cool things down a little bit, even for those that don't see the areas of wet weather. Low pressure generally brings slightly cooler air along with it. So that's going to be the trend for all of our regions here. 83 the high Wednesday at the coast, but then we're back into the upper 70s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Each day will start off with some low clouds, maybe some areas of fog in some inland areas as well. But then we'll see more of that sunshine later in the afternoon. Lows will drop to the low to mid 60s. Inland, again, very hot on Wednesday. Once again, 97 degrees for the high. But then this weekend is looking a little bit more comfortable. Temperatures will end up in the upper 80s Saturday and Sunday. Partly to mostly sunny by the afternoon. Could get some clouds each of the next couple of mornings. Here's your forecast in the mountains. Temperatures will be near 90 again on Wednesday. Then much more typical weather takes over Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with highs remaining in the lower to middle 80s there for several days. Brilliant sunshine throughout the entire day. So if you are going to be out and about, maybe exploring the latest trail, you definitely want sunscreen and plenty of water. Temperatures will be a little bit cool in the morning, so maybe a day to dress in layers. Deserts will be mild even at night. Temperatures ranging from the upper 60s to mid 70s during the dark hours. And even here, high temperatures go from about 110 on Wednesday. It's about 10 degrees above the average. Back down to 103 for Saturday and Sunday. That sun is still going to be brilliant and strong, so sunscreen certainly a necessity. Heather Waldman, KPBS News.
Hundreds of thousands of people are visiting Rio de Janeiro for the Summer Olympics. KPBS associate producer Elma Gonzalez explains while the city's main attractions will be bustling with tourists, some will tour what they might call the seedier side of town, Rio's favelas.
Favelas are working-class communities that have been historically neglected by the Brazilian government. For many people, favelas are synonymous with poverty and violence. And yet experts say these communities draw nearly 50,000 tourists every year.
Some companies explore the poverty and the violence and make this interesting for the tourists. I understand that some tourists search for this.
Lives in Rocinha, Rio's largest favela. He began guiding tourists inside his community when he was 17 years old, first informally and then through an external agency. He says the agency always encouraged him to pump up the risk factor.
One thing I noticed with tourists is this idea of them wanting to engage in riskless risk, okay, and build a sort of cultural capital for themselves.
Dr. Ryan Good researched favelas as a doctoral candidate at San Diego State University. He says some tourists see real value in snapping a picture inside a dangerous favela and then transmitting that to their social network. San Diegans Tatiana Barbosa and Matt Morris traveled around the globe before landing in Rio and taking a tour last April. And while they expected a risky scene, it was the opposite.
Going into it, I was kind of nervous. I had no idea what to expect. I just heard bad things about it. Like, it was the slums, kind of like you'll get robbed. There's gangsters all over. There's a lot of gun shootings.
It was really calm when we were there. Actually, I felt pretty safe inside the favela than anywhere else in Rio de Janeiro.
Nearly 1/4 of Rio's population lives in a favela, and data shows about 65% of favela residents are actually middle-class families.
We have a fight. Favelas communities have a fight to make people understand that we are part of the city.
Good says in the last couple of decades, movies and music videos have helped spark curiosity among visitors to Brazil. Morris and Barbosa took a tour with Favela Adventures, a company run by community residents. And Good says that matters. His research shows local agencies will almost always benefit communities more than an agency run by outsiders. Touring with a local allows the vast majority of profits to be reinvested in the favela.
A lot of the locally run agencies have excellent social programs where they're donating a lot of the profits from these tours back in the community.
Favela Adventures, for example, funds a free DJ school in Rocinha. Good also points out walking tours with local guides can be more respectful to the community. A tour inside a van or a jeep keeps visitors away from interacting with the residents and gives the impression of a safari excursion. Despite that, a recent study conducted in Rocinha found 84% of locals are happy to have tourists visit.
And then they welcome us, greet us, and have big smiles on their faces, things like that. I just felt very welcomed.
Experts say favelas are so stigmatized by most Brazilians that local residents are moved tourists visit and value their communities. For KPBS News, I'm Elma Gonzalez.
Tomorrow, KPBS and other San Diego news organizations take a closer look at the men, women, and families who make up the city's homeless population. Tonight, we take a look at what used to be one of the biggest tent cities in the nation, in the heart of the Silicon Valley. From our sister station, KQED, Chui Vu shows us the jungle.
San Jose, the heart of Silicon Valley, sits in one of the wealthiest regions in the country. Yet homelessness remains a persistent problem. This stretch of road in East San Jose looks like an average suburban street, but look closer and you'll find a modern nomadic village.
So you got this how long ago?
About 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago. And how much did it cost you?
I paid $690 for it.
So for now it's home?
For now it's home.
Can we take a look inside?
Sure.
Okay. This is where you sleep every night?
Yes, this is where I sleep.
Okay.
Sleep back there.
Joseph Lupredi says he's never been homeless before, an experience he sums up in one word.
Humbling. All the things that you normally take for granted, like your showers and going to the bathroom, I mean, everything is just a huge ordeal. You know, I mean, like today I got to go to work at 5, but I don't have a washer and dryer, I don't have a shower, I don't have any, place to shave. So the other day I got kicked out of the apartment complex with my head half shaved. They said they were going to call the police if I didn't leave. So I didn't have power and I had to go to work with my head half shaved, and it was just embarrassing.
Lupredi works nearly full-time as a valet parking cars.
It's hard to go to work every day and come home to that.
Lupredi says he'd like to leave California for someplace more affordable, but he's on probation and must stay in Santa Clara County. He makes $2,500 a month and doesn't see how he can afford a place. Throughout San Jose, there are an estimated 4,000 homeless people, some of whom seek shelter in the 140 miles of creek and riverbeds. We found this massive pile of garbage, apparently left over from one such encampment.
They go really deep in.
Yeah, they go deep because they don't want to be found.
Tony Harrison is with Downtown Streets Team, a homeless outreach agency. He leads me down a trail along Coyote Creek. We cross over the creek and up a steep embankment.
Are you okay?
Before finding 2 tents.
How many other homeless people are there along this creek bed?
Oh, there's a trail.
So this is like 5 and 6, 7 miles worth of people who are homeless, who are just living along the creek.
Yes, just living along the bank in the creek, yes. That's why we need more help and more awareness of homelessness.
The nation became aware of San Jose's problem in 2014. That is when the Jungle, one of the largest homeless encampments in the country, made national headlines. The city shut it down, moving an estimated 300 people out and fencing off the area. Leonard Jackson says he spent 5 years living in the Jungle.
And where did you live?
I'm like about right here.
So what did you have here when you were living here? What did it look like?
Well, it was built on pallets, and we had, sticks and tarps, and at the time I was here, it was just, it was bad,
So how did you end up homeless?
Honestly, to be real with you, it had a lot to do with drugs. It had, a lot of things that I regret to this day.
Jackson says the Jungle's closure opened doors as outreach workers helped him get off drugs, into a home, and find a job.
It's just by the grace of God, you people came along and you saved a lot of us. I could say that. I could say that, honestly, with a whole heart, that you saved a lot of us, Yeah, let me show you my new place. This is all right.
Oh, this is home now.
This is home. That's my mom right there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I really love my little place. I enjoy it. It beats the Jungle. It's way better than the Jungle.
And you got your first paycheck recently.
I got my first paycheck yesterday.
Congratulations.
Yes. In fact, I think I have the thing right.
Oh, you do?
Where is it? I want to show that thing.
Let's see that first paycheck.
Let's see that first paycheck right there.
And the first of what he hopes will be many more steps forward.
It feels great. It feels hecka great, to have my own place, a job, security. I mean, it's like I feel like I'm on top of the world.
That was KQED's Chui Vu reporting. Join us for the San Diego Homeless Project as part of our special coverage on KPBS Evening Edition. That's Wednesday night, right here on KPBS. John McLaughlin, the conservative political commentator and the host of the long-running television show The McLaughlin Group, has died. He was 89 years old. His death was announced on the show's Facebook page. No cause was mentioned, but he had missed the taping for the past weekend show for the first time in the series' 34 years. His show debuted in 1982 and made its mark with a ruckus format, often featuring journalists arguing over Washington politics.
I'm Judy Woodruff on the next NewsHour. How child care workers across the country fail to earn a livable wage. That's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
An iconic Las Vegas hotel and casino is now a pile of rubble. The Riviera was demolished early this morning to make way for a convention center expansion. It was closed last year after 60 years of hosting headliners like Dean Martin and Liberace. It was also the backdrop for movies including the original Rat Pack film, Ocean's 11, and the James Bond flick, Diamonds Are Forever. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening.